Welcome to the dark side of the internet, where every whisper hides a warning and every story has teeth. I'm your guide through the shadows, and tonight we're going somewhere you won't come back the same. Turn off the lights, put your phone close. This is where the nightmare begins.
The forest that forgot me. I've been hiking these woods since I was a girl. My mother used to take me through the Ardennes trails, telling stories about lost nights and ghostly crusaders buried beneath the moss. These woods have always been my sanctuary, unchanging, eternal. Except they aren't. What I'm about to share took place over 3 years. 3 years of things that shouldn't exist leaking into the ordinary world. I've never written about it before. I'm not superstitious. I'm a civil engineer in Brussels. My job depends on logic, equations, measurements, things that make sense. But these 3 incidents? They don't. My boyfriend Marco witnessed 2 of them. He's a research scientist, rational to the point of cruelty. He once told me he doesn't believe in luck, ghosts, or things that go bump. The fact that even he can't explain what we saw. That's what keeps me awake at night. The crossing at Montbremont, 2018. I was hiking alone that day, near Montbremont, close to the French border. Marco was away at a symposium, so I decided to take a familiar 18-kilometer loop trail I'd done dozens of times. It was one of those crystalline mornings. No clouds, no wind, perfect. By midday, I stopped in a small clearing to eat lunch. That's when the birds went silent. If you've spent time in a forest, you know silence means something's watching. But this was absolute, like sound itself had been sucked away. I waited, listening. Nothing moved, not a leaf, not a branch. Uneasy, I packed up and kept walking. 10 minutes later, I reached the narrow stream crossing. Normally, there's a cheerful trickle of water over the stones, but that day the air felt charged, like static before lightning. Across the stream stood a figure. It wasn't moving, at all. It wore something like a long, dark coat. Old-fashioned, maybe wool or leather, though I couldn't see texture. And though the noon sun shone directly on the clearing, its face was shadowed like it carried its own darkness. "Bonjour," I called. No reaction, not a twitch. My chest went cold. They were too tall, too elongated in the limbs, with shoulders that drooped at strange angles. I should have turned back. Instead, I stepped onto the first stone, then the second. When I looked up again, the figure was gone. I swear on my life, it didn't walk away. It didn't fade into the trees. It simply wasn't there anymore. And that's when everything changed. The light dimmed, took on a blue tint, like an old photograph. The air went cold enough that I could see my breath. My skin prickled with static. I finished crossing, trying to steady my heartbeat, and pressed forward. 10 minutes later, the sound of birds returned all at once, as if someone unmuted the world. The air warmed instantly. When I checked my phone, I nearly dropped it. I'd lost 2 hours. My pace hadn't changed. My watch log confirmed it. 2 hours gone. Just gone. I didn't tell anyone for months. I convinced myself it was fatigue or sunstroke. But in truth, something inside me had shifted. I'd felt it. The forest blink. The lights of La Hupa, 2019. This time, Marco was with me. We stayed at a small inn near Lupa, famous for its folk legend of Clu, a shape-shifting spirit that lures travelers off the path. The locals call him the Whisper in the Water. He takes many forms: black dog, winged phantom, or the half-human root thing that grows from the forest floor. Marco laughed at the stories. Probably a farmer who fell in the swamp after too much wine, he said. That evening, we hiked along a trail that wound between small ponds. By dusk, a mist began to rise, soft at first, then thick and wet, clinging to our faces. Visibility dropped to 10 meters. We slowed down, talked louder, pretended we weren't scared. Then came the first light. A pale, bluish-green orb hovered between the trees to our right, then another to our left, then one in front of us. Within seconds, a dozen lights surrounded us, floating, flickering, pulsing like living lanterns. "They're fireflies," Marco said, though his voice cracked. "These aren't fireflies," I whispered. The lights moved closer, slowly orbiting us. They pulsed in rhythm, almost breathing. Each one left trails in the fog, faint tendrils that formed the outline of human shapes. Faces half-formed, bodies warping like reflections on water. From the dark came a rattling sound, metallic and wet, like chains dragging through mud. Then came the smell, stagnant water, rot, and iron. "Turn on your phone light," I told Marco. He did. The beam cut through the mist, and the nearest orb recoiled. The glowing shape bent backward, twisting as if the light burned it. A shriek filled the woods, a high, wet hiss that made my ears ring. That was all the encouragement we needed. We ran, hard. The lights followed at first, then thinned, retreating as the mist dissolved. After 5 minutes of blind sprinting, we burst out onto the main trail. Everything was normal again. No mist. No lights. Later, Marco searched for explanations. Phosphorescent gas, bioluminescent algae, methane ignition. But none of those move in circles. None react to light like a living thing. That night, as we lay in bed, the room's motion sensor lamp flickered on by itself. And for one breathless instant, I saw a pale glow outside our window, hovering in the garden mist. The Hollow Trail, 2020. By summer, we'd convinced ourselves it was coincidence, imagination. So we went hiking again, this time in the Sognan Forest, just outside Brussels. A safe, well-trodden place. There were families, cyclists, tourists, a Sunday full of laughter. We decided to take a smaller side path, quieter. 20 minutes in, I realized the forest was too quiet. No footsteps but ours. No distant hum of the city. Even the air felt wrong, thick, like underwater. Ahead, the trail faded into a strange haze. Not mist, exactly. Just distance behaving wrong. The path seemed to rebuild itself as we walked, as if existing only a few meters ahead. The trees changed, too. The tall, smooth beeches became gnarled and twisted, their branches forming a tunnel overhead. The bark looked black and wet, as though it had been burned. "This isn't right," Marco muttered. "We should go back." We turned and froze. The path behind us was different now, too. Narrower, darker. We kept walking forward. For 40 minutes, the forest around us grew stranger. The air shimmered faintly blue, the same color as the lights of La Hopa. I started to smell the same rot, swamp, and iron. Then, ahead, the trees opened into a perfectly circular clearing. We stepped in, and the ground hummed. The sound vibrated up through our shoes, through our bones. For a fraction of a second, the world blurred. Between the trees, something moved. I only caught a glimpse, a humanoid silhouette, long and wrong, crawling across the trunks like a spider. Marco grabbed my wrist, and we ran. Branches whipped our faces. The air pulsed, and then, in a single step, the forest changed. Sunlight, gravel, cyclists, the normal Sognan forest again. We were back. We stood there, gasping, while joggers passed, oblivious. I've spent my entire life walking these woods. I thought I knew them, every sound, every scent, every hidden stream. But now I understand there are layers here, places where time folds, where something else leaks through. And when the forest goes silent, when the air feels heavy and blue, don't move forward. Don't even breathe. Because sometimes the woods notice you back, and sometimes they don't let go. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay safe out there. Subscribe and follow for more.
If you're still here, you made it through the dark. But remember, the stories don't stop just because the video ends. They linger in the corners of your room, in the echo of your mind. So go ahead, turn off the screen, try to sleep. I'll be waiting for the next nightmare to begin.